All right, I'm Christy Abbey. I am here with Ethan, the progressive liberal, and I'm co-hosted today by Sosh, just Sosh, and who has been helping me out with some technical problems. And I said, you got to stick around for the whole thing. So our basic topic here is going to be the schisms in atheism, and wherever we wander away from that is just fine because I like talking to Ethan. Anyway, we wander far on our Twitter.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's how conversations are supposed to go, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I started in the atheism movement on the day when I decided that I was an atheist. I started a YouTube channel and said, I am an atheist. This is the first time I'm ever saying this. So I went straight for the in public, which is the way I do everything in my life. It's like a family trait. The best question to start is, where did you start in the agnostic, atheist, skeptic movement before skeptic was a bad word? I assume.
Well, I didn't grow up Christian or with any religion at all. Both my parents are just agnostic secularists. I got really mad one day when I was like 14, and I punched a wall. And I immediately became embarrassed. No, it wasn't like put a hole through a wall or anything. I let my anger get the best of me, and I just, pounded my fist against a wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just felt bad about it. Just said, that's not how I want to express anger. There's got to be a better way to express anger. And a friend of mine at school said I sounded like a Buddhist. And so I went and researched what Buddhism was, because it made me curious. And I found out that there was another philosophy that stole some things from Buddhism, but was not Buddhism, that was called Taoism.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a copy of the Tao Te Ching, and I read it. And ever since, it has been a driving force in my thinking and my life. I think Taoism includes with it a healthy skepticism and a way of saying that everything in life, good or bad or indifferent, is a reason to celebrate being alive. And there is no such thing as guilt. There's simply things which help us be better people, and there are things which help us, or which hinder us from being better people, and we should strive to do the things that help us and not the things that hinder us.
That's I actually got into the Tao. I can't say it. For some reason, the girl voice won't do that particular set of syllables. I read Zen in the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance first, and that got me into reading it.
Right. Yep. There's also the Tao of Pooh, if you've ever heard that, from Winnie the Pooh.
I have a copy, of course.
Yes. Which I adore. It's pretty great.
I should probably someday do the Tao of Alice, but it won't quite the same.
No. Well, and I think that's what's great about Taoism, is that there isn't a right path to enlightenment. There's simply things that you do that try to help you find the path.
Yeah, pretty much. Sosh, how did you get it? I have never actually asked you this.
So I grew up Pentecostal until about the age of 16 or 17. I was still going to church, but kind of by that time I was over it. The cognitive dissonance between like what I knew was right and wrong, and what is in the highest interests of just the well-being of people and how people want to be treated I could not make any of it compute. I could not talk myself into enough the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I couldn't get myself jibber jabbering or crappie flopping for the lot, because I just, I wasn't gonna do it if it wasn't real, if I wasn't sincere. I wasn't gonna fake it, and I couldn't. But so I kind of just went through many years of being kind of just wishy-washy, deistic, like, oh yeah, maybe there's a higher power. I know it's not this one, but
yeah.
But I was really just kind of angry, and I didn't really come to being an atheist until much more recently, actually, back in May.
Oh.
Was when I really I had a big kind of falling out with my parents. They had kind of started to accept me. They were trying to use my name and my preferred pronouns. Yeah. But they voted for Trump, and they just seem to be fully on board with his all-out war on my human rights. And I just, I'm talking to them just like, how can you say you love me and accept me, and my nephew, my sister's son, is trans, and how can you say you love me and accept me, but then you're flashing your phone in my face with all your pictures of how happy you were going to the Trump rally, and just like, you're on board with this? You're on board with, like, taking away my right to medical care, for example? And my mom just kind of, like, shut down and just kept saying, oh, love is the answer. Love, why are you... They're just like, why do you got to be so angry and argue? And
no. In a bizarre circle, it was actually punching a wall that started me on the road to finally coming out, which is a much longer story that I didn't really even get to in my trans origin story video. I actually broke my hand for a guitarist that is the worst.
Ouch.
Yeah. I didn't know there was a chimney behind the wall.
That's such a great way of saying
it. Yeah. Well, that's the way life is sometimes. I came in just as the blasphemy challenge was going on. Jesus Camp had just come out. A whole bunch of Bad Religion's best album came out, and it's like telling the trans origin story. Every time I tell the story, it's a little different because it's always not one thing; it's a whole bunch of things.
Right.
I wish life was a linear narrative a little more, but it kind of it's
yeah,
not.
It rarely ever is it?
It's throwing the arrow stalks, if I could, to the Buddhism, or the Tao. Jeez, but one of the things that drove me away very soon afterwards. I mean, I was for, I guess, almost a year, because an election happened in the meantime. And one of the midterms. My last video was a comedy video on that. a friend of mine committed suicide, and people had been harassing her online. And this was just as the anti-feminist part of atheism started. Sadly,
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I tried. I mean, it's the best I can say.
It's the best you can do. Sometimes there isn't any amount of trying that will prevent it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I disappeared off of YouTube for a while. I came back very briefly while I was still struggling with being trans, and then the video happened.
Right.
And I had to come back, but I was like scared to come back because now I was thinking the atheist community was not going to accept me the way they reacted. So it actually, I was coming back, but it delayed me for a long time. I know that's the third schism, and I'm jumping a little bit, but the second one was over the, right versus left, where Sargon and those people started coming around. I don't know, how much interaction have you had with the who are classical liberal people?
Well, which ones? Because I have interactions with a lot of different groups on the left.
Oh, they're the ones that say they're leftist, but like Sargon and such ran
I see. Here's my philosophy on it. Unless you're a Nazi or you are openly advocating for violence against any group,
right,
I will have a conversation with you. That includes the lefts and the rights. Nazis or any kind of ethno supremacists, I don't have any time for. But I believe that the only way to fix things is to save people, to bring them back from the brink. That may be people on the alt-right. That may be people who currently espouse Nazi worldviews. Taoism says that it is the tabernacle of the universe. It is the treasure of those who are good and is the refuge of those who are not. So as a Taoist, I believe that if someone fails in society, if someone harms society, wishes to harm society, commits crimes or something, I have a personal responsibility for some measure of it, for not doing enough to reach that person. Maybe indirectly teaching other people about Taoism so they could have reached that person. Obviously, I can't reach every single person on Earth personally.
right.
But Taoists believe that we have a personal responsibility for the society that we live in and the people that it produces. So, except in some pretty extreme circumstances, I won't disassociate from most people. There are some people I will.
Yeah.
And that includes people that I have had conversations in the past week with people that are admitted far left feminist SJW proponents of outrage culture who believe that outrage culture is healthy and that we need it. And I've had conversations with people that think that outrage culture is a bane and a blight upon our society, and that Antifa is a terrorist organization. So I try to listen to both sides to figure out what the right path forward is so that I can present it to people so that together we can save enough people so that we can literally change our society at some point. It's because I'm an idealist,
Yes.
and I know that, and I admit that, but I don't think that you can be a progressive without being an idealist. I think that the two are intertwined, because progressivism naturally believes that there is an ideal, and that that ideal is worth the sacrifice it will take to reach it.
I am actually with you on a lot of this. One of the things that always frustrated me in religion, in general, was there is this wonderful part of it, but it rarely gets broadened out to encompass everybody. I maintain enough of it where it's like I believe everybody can be saved, not Jesus saved, but saved in this life. In this life, it just takes something. It takes a good heart. I can't really. I can't put my finger on this. I don't give up on anybody.
Sure.
And this has hurt me in the past, but I'm willing to take that on.
Right.
There's two things I'm reluctant to say, but I'm going to do it anyway because I've been trying to do tech work for the last 4 hours.
No, I understand. I totally get it. There are times, my show starts at the end of the day. It's 7:30 my time.
Right.
And there are times when I'm sitting there 15 minutes before I go on, like, how am I going to do this after the day that after everything that I just did today? I'm about to go entertain people. So I get it. I understand. You are preaching to the choir.
Well, absolutely. One of the people who was what we would call shitlord in the, I call, like I said, I call my old channel In the Long Ago.
Right.
Who I interacted with and slowly became shitlordy, is now the queen of the leftists on YouTube. So happy to see that. I had nothing to do with it, or maybe,
You may have had some small effect that you don't even realize, that she doesn't even realize, but that's how waves come about, right? They start as ripples, don't they?
One hopes. And I had a strange thing where my aunt, who went all turf on me when I came out, is actually reaching out to me a little bit right now.
That's good.
And I'm being told by everybody, well, screw her. She wasn't there when you needed it. I'm like, so? if she's there now, she's there now.
Right.
That's how I look at people in general. They don't hold their past against them.
In our society, we tend to judge people by the worst thing that they've ever done, right?
Yes.
If somebody commits murder, doesn't matter if they were the CEO of, the greatest nonprofit ever that educated a bunch of kids, or, got people a bunch of off drugs or something. If they raped somebody, they're a rapist. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that's how our society works.
Sure.
So it's funny sometimes when we see, I know people in my past, for instance, that did things that, to me personally, or people in my family, I mean, nothing as bad as rape, of course, but just did things that I'll never forget. And that's how I define them in my mind. Now, that happened, 20 years ago when we were all kids. And they're probably a completely different person now. Hopefully they've learned, to be better. But to me, that's who they'll always be. So it's always funny whenever you see somebody that was completely one way once and has changed drastically today. I have a friend now that when I was in high school, I was a Taoist and he was an atheist. And we used to, go on and on in about Christianity and how Christianity was stupid. He's a pastor now. I just found out about a year ago now. He's a pastor in like North Dakota or something. Like he lives in the middle of nowhere and runs a church, and he's an evangelical pastor. He's got 3 kids, and it just blows my mind. Like this guy was the biggest atheist I've ever. He was like Aaron Ra level atheist. Like had arguments, had everything all charted out, and now he's an evangelical pastor. So
if you had met me even 20 years ago, I don't think people would have liked me very much.
Right.
I was good on stage with my music, but yeah, I was trying my best to be as toxically masculine as I could. Until I met, until I came online and met the real thing.
Right.
And that changed me a lot. And seeing what it did to Wendy, really was a wake up. I still was angry a lot, but I'm not angry anymore. It's not a part of me.
That's good. That's really good.
I forget I have a co-host here. I'm sorry.
It's all good. That's kind of my jam. I hang out. I might interject, or I might try to talk a little bit if you really, really put me on the spot. But mostly, I'm just here for moral support.
Okay. Well, I appreciate. Sosh has been with me. Was my first or second subscriber, so I'm has been just supporting me from
Sure. No, I've got people like that have been with me since I started, so I get it. Totally get it.
Well, do you mostly, I know you do a lot in the atheist area. I've really kind of started ignoring ignoring a little bit more of the theist area because there's only so many times I can see a banana.
Right.
And how many times what's his name can go over, the
Oh, Kent Hovind? Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't remember his name. I could do the voice well enough.
Oh, that guy.
He hasn't changed any word of his.
No, he's doing the exact same shtick he's done for 35 years.
So yeah, I've kind of just started ignoring them. But you're still fighting over in that section a little bit.
When I first started my channel, I was going to do atheist stuff. Well, I wasn't going to do atheist stuff because I'm not an atheist, but I was going to do evangelical Christian stuff.
Right.
I was going to do flat Earth stuff, and I was going to do political stuff.
Yeah.
And the flat Earth stuff, I think I have 1 or 2 flat Earth videos on my channel. And then I just got bored. And I was like, the problem is that I have been arguing against flat Earth people on YouTube for I'm not even exaggerating here, but it's been 10 years. There are 24-hour or there were. I guess they're gone now. There were 24-hour flat Earth hangouts that would go on, and I would finish up work on like Friday evening, and I would go home and I would spend 8 hours on these hangouts, and they would show me the craziest shit. I remember this guy one time showed me this whole presentation about how the earth was a cylinder and Jesus was at the center of it and he was caught, and like he had Bible passages that was backing up like how he figured out that Jesus was stuck and like what we had to do in order to get Jesus unstuck. And so when I started this channel, I was like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm going to go after. And the arguments are just so tired and they're just so old, and I've heard them so many times, I couldn't even do it. And I did this video responding to something a video Nathan Thompson put out. And I think it has like 11 views to this day. Like no one has watched it. But Nathan Thompson has watched it, left a comment on it, remarking about how I was correct, but he was still right. And then he disliked it. Which is fine. Totally fine. Like that's what I wanted. It worked out perfectly, actually. And then I started to do the atheism stuff. I was working on a video, and the abortion ban started happening. And so I started my abortion video, and it was too long, and so I had to split it into two pieces. And the first one is called What is a Fetal Heartbeat? And somehow Godless Engineer's wife and I started talking on Twitter, and I don't even remember how, and I linked her the video. And the next thing I know, Godless Engineer makes a video about my video and like links it out and invites me to collaborate with him. And then we did on something else about LGBTQ rights.
Yes.
And so because of that, I made another abortion video, and then I just started really heavy into the political stuff, which I enjoy. I mean, I'm a political scientist. I love politics. But what I want my channel to be is somewhere that people in the center and the right end up without realizing that I'm trying to show them stuff on the left. So right now what I'm trying to do is a bunch of gaming videos, because I want people to come to my channel because they're looking for the gaming stuff and they find the political stuff. And I know that there's going to be people in my audience that are going to be like, why is he doing gaming? I don't care about gaming stuff. I'm here for his political stuff. So, that's why I do the after show, and we always have some sort of topic that's going to come out every week. But I'm going to do more of these gaming streams, and I'm going to do some gaming tutorials and stuff to try to get people to the channel for a different reason than politics, who may end up finding my political videos, and maybe it'll help them. I don't know if it's going to work. It might fail spectacularly, but that's what I'm doing.
I was kind of wondering when I saw the gaming videos, I was like, oh, that's new.
Yes, that is the point. And when I play the games, I talk politics.
Well,
we did 2 gaming streams after the Democratic debates last week. So it's me playing video games, and I'm talking with someone who's running for Congress in Texas about the Democratic debates. So you get the video games, and you also get political, talk, discourse. And I don't know, hopefully it works. I'm going to try it for the whole month of August. I'm going to see how the videos do, and then I might end it, or it might end up successful. So we'll see.
Well, the doing the Hangouts was not exactly where I expected to go right away, and it turned out to be incredibly fun. And so
Absolutely.
There's a couple that didn't dare, so.
Sure. Oh, I've been there. I have a video that I made for Pride Month that I realized I messed up. And I think it's the best video I've ever made.
Yeah.
And it was only up for a day, and then I set it to private because I have to go back and fix it. And I just haven't fixed it yet. So I've been there. Yeah,
it's always depending. I mean, I'm trying to bring on people with whom I have an online rapport of some sort right now, before I get into even trying for the people that I might be a little shaky on.
Just a time warning. I got to go in about 10. I have about 11 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait.
It's okay. It's all right. I got to do
Uh,
family stuff. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I had one of those. Um,
They're all right sometimes.
yeah, well, most of them haven't seen me all day. So. My kid. I live in the house with my son is trans, so my son's significant other, my ex-wife, and her fiance.
Oh, wow. Full house.
Yeah, and it's at least the trans people outnumber the cis people finally.
Oh, who else is trans in your family?
My my son is a trans man, masculine, and significant other is non-binary.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very
So.
cool. I have a cousin who's trans, but that's it. So
There's reasons for it, which I don't discuss too much in public.
no, I understand. I get it.
And I always have to mention the kid came out first before I did.
Right.
It wasn't imitating me in any way.
Right. No, I understand.
The idea of everybody being salvageable is one of the one of the things that I've never understood about evangelical culture in general has been that they are quick to throw away. I always put it the way you think about hell means the devil wins. The devil winds up with the most souls.
Right.
So that's the only measurement of winning that you can have in that scenario. I mean, God gets praised forever, and the devil wins all the souls. What's the point?
That's a good way of. I like that. That's a great thought experiment. I just want to sit here and stare at the wall and think about that for like an hour. You know, I love stuff like that.
Oh, well, I work on it.
You should write a blog like on that, like every day, like put a little thought out there.
I have a novel that is a little bit overdue right now. So.
Oh, awesome. I would like to do that someday. I've got story ideas, but I don't. Someday I want to sit down and actually make them a cohesive idea.
Well, this is one of those strange things because I normally write comedy, and I use my music for serious writing, and I use my fiction for comedy writing, and this is my first serious. This is a rewrite of my first serious novel. Somebody actually is interested in dealing with it, and it's about being a closeted trans person, and trying to describe dysphoria in 88,000 words.
Right.
So, it's it's difficult. It has songs though. So,
yeah, it is. As somebody who's a cis white male, as boring as unsalted saltines. When I first heard the idea of dysphoria, it did confuse me, because I don't have it. I don't, it just doesn't make sense in my brain. Not saying it's not real, it just doesn't compute,
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I love these conversations I've gotten to have with you, and the conversations on Nuanced Nonsense. I get to understand, hopefully in some small way. I'll never understand it completely, of course, but I get to understand a point of view that I know I'm not capable of having. There's nothing. I don't have a dysphoria, so it's I really appreciate what you guys are doing. The cousin that I mentioned who's trans is underage, and I know that for someone like that, it's vitally important that they've got someone to go to that is like them, that they can get advice from, that I'll never be able to truly portray, because there's a disconnect in my brain that I can't get to fully where you are to give the perspective that you can. So I'm so glad that there's a bunch of you in the trans communities that have channels like this, that'll have these conversations, so that people that are new to understanding these things about themselves have somewhere to feel at home, you know?
Yeah. I want. Well, this is not self-serving, but it is. Well, it is what it is. I'm a public figure. I had to come out publicly. It's not.
Right.
It's not if I was going to come out at all.
Right.
I came out during. I came out with a Facebook post first, a very short one, but that was somewhat ignored. And but I came out during a music and arts festival last year. I did 2 gigs as the boy person, and I was asked to join an LGBT show, and everybody was asking, and most of the people I knew were asked, "Why are you in an LGBT show? Is it because you're bi?" And I'm like, "No, just wait."
What is your sexual orientation? Are you pan?
Pan, yeah.
Yep.
I'm mostly female oriented, mostly lesbian oriented, I suppose you'd call it.
Sure.
But I've had several boyfriends before.
Right.
And yeah, it's the person. It's not the. It's always been the person. I don't have a type. Brainy.
Right. Well, I have a type. She's my wife.
Yes, and she wants you. As she wants you, I know you have to go away like in 2 minutes. I'm actually keeping an eye on the clock. We have
about 4 minutes before she throws anything. So we're good. We're good.
Oh, okay.
She shouldn't chew out of the duct tape before then.
Awful.
She just made something to eat. What are you eating, honey? Okay, she's eating a frozen burrito she found at the back of the freezer. I was trying to figure out what that smell was. Okay, it smells good. I'm not trying to say it smells bad. It smells good though. Is that sriracha sauce? Okay. All right. That's what's going on over here. It's real exciting, let me tell you.
I've been sitting up in my room for most of the day just trying to. I took a walk earlier. I'm really glad I did.
I understand. Like I said, streaming is not as easy as it seems. When I first did my show, the first 3 episodes of the after show are 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3. 0.1 had May Bowen on it, and May was just too wonderful, and I've left that one up there. 0.2, the audio was so bad that I just deleted it. And 0.3 is okay. It's decent. So I totally understand having issues. You should not feel bad.
No, I don't. I just it's the not being able to figure out something. But then again, I studied neuropsych in college, so not being able to figure out something is pretty much the way that works.
Right. Well, what I feel bad about is I worked for nonprofits where I worked on the communications team, and I ran live streams and well, I shouldn't say I ran them. I was part of a team, but we put all the stuff together for live streams and for social media stuff. And so when I go on and I can't figure something out, I just want to be like, how did someone pay me when I am this much of a moron, have no idea what I'm doing, and I used to get paid for this? Yeah, so I understand. I completely understand.
I might let my friend actually see my room and fix it for me. Nobody sees my room. That's what that purple thing is covering.
Right. No, I get it. I get it. I get it. My setup is literally a black curtain that I bought on Amazon with a very long curtain rod that's hung from the ceiling. That's what I do.
Oh, smart move. I should
That's
probably
it.
do that. I'm going to keep
Behind that curtain is my bike, my wife's bike, an exercise ball, a vacuum cleaner. So don't feel bad. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all smoke and mirrors.
It's the problem of having two completely different sets of wardrobes, and I haven't really gotten
That's okay.
So, this has been interesting. This isn't at all where I expected it to go, but I did expect to laugh a lot and have fun.
Okay, I had a lot of fun being here with you guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
All right.
I really
Drag me over there as long as it's not gun related, because I seem
we're
did
gonna
freak out last night when
we're gonna do some we've got some tough topics coming up this week because of everything that's been going on. But you know, we'll figure it. We're doing racism and white nationalism. There we go. Wednesday night. So that should be. It's going to be rough, but it's a conversation we got to have. So.
Well, those are ones I can deal with a lot better. I had a Nazi stepfather, which is a whole
gotcha
thing. I'm old enough to have an actual Nazi for a stepfather.
Right. No, I get it.
All right, I will talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for putting up with delays and all of that.
It was no trouble at all. It was no trouble. Sosh, it was great to meet you.
You too.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
And I'm gonna spend like a couple minutes with Sosh here. I just want to thank you for just sitting there with me through all of this today. It was insane trying to get this thing to work, and it didn't work. And
I know. I'm sorry. We really tried.
We really tried. And you were amazing through it, and you've been amazing since I've known you. So, and I've only known you a little while, and so if I think you're amazing now, I'll imagine in a couple of years you'll be amazinger.
Thanks. You're amazing. I'm working on it. I'm trying to be a better human.
Well, today, if there are extra points to be earned, you earned them today.
I enjoyed my time. I suffered a little bit too, actually. I drank a cider that is a habanero and cucumber, so it was literally like, I've had them before, but it literally makes me cough sometimes when I take a drink of it, and I manage not to cough all over your stream, so that's the thing.
Well, I'm the one who's supposed to suffer for my art, not you. You don't have to suffer for my art, only when I produce it.
Oh, I suffered to have a cameo of my art in your art, I guess.
That is true. And I do see the Gabriel Apocalypse on the side there.
Oh, yeah, they're just hanging out there with Janice, and MacGyver's out of frame.
Okay. and the dead up top?
Yep, the Grateful Dead just above.
All right. At this point, I've got to go down and eat something because I haven't eaten while we're doing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should do that.
And I appreciate it. I'm going to stop recording now. To the audience who gets to see this, it wasn't at all what we expected, but it was really fun. Thank you, Sosh, and thank you to Ethan, wherever you are, probably eating dinner like a normal person at a normal time in his time zone. I will see everybody later, and don't believe everything the readers see. Good night.
Night.